Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is the implication rule. There's two implication rules, implication introduction and implication elimination. Here's how they work. For implication introduction, if under the assumption of A you can derive Q, then P implies Q. So if you're doing an actual proof and you want to prove P implies Q, you assume P, and then you do some stuff, you do some additional rules, and then you obtain Q, then you can conclude P implies Q by the implication introduction rule. Okay? Implication elimination, sometimes called modus ponens, is a little bit easier. If you know that P is true, and also you know that P implies Q, so if P then Q, then you also have that Q is true by implication elimination. Okay? So those are the only two rules we need for the moment. Let's try to do a proof. So we're going to try and prove that P implies Q implies P. Okay? And as always, when I do my proofs, I write a long vertical bar and write my goal at the very bottom. And I'm going to try and work my way towards it. Okay? So I have to, from nothing, try and get P implies Q implies P. Now, whenever you have an implication, the only thing you can do is assume the left-hand side and try and derive the right-hand side. So I'm going to do that here by using another indentation to denote an assumption. So this horizontal bar means I'm assuming something. So I'm going to assume P and somehow try and derive Q implies P. I like to work my proofs from the bottom and from the top and try and meet in the middle. Okay? So now I'll have to prove that Q implies P is true. Well, now I'm in exactly the same situation as before. To prove an implication, I have to assume the left-hand side, derive the right-hand side. So I'm going to do that. Assume Q, derive P. Okay? At this point, proving P is easy. I've already got P up here. I can just sort of steal the P down using what's called the repeat rule, where you can always just copy a line for free. So now that my proof is done, I can fill in my line numbers, and I can fill in my rules. So both P and Q are assumptions. They don't need to be notated. This P was stolen from above, so we use the repeat rule denoted by an R from line 1. Now here we have Q implies P, and how do we get that? We assumed Q, and we got P. So we use the implication introduction rule, just like we did here. Implication introduction. And I cite this entire assumption box. So I cite lines 2 through to 3, denoted by a hyphen. Okay? And what's the justification for this line? Well, exactly the same as before. I assumed P, I did a whole bunch of stuff, and then got Q implies P. Therefore, P implies Q implies P. The implication introduction, lines 1 through to 4.